All right, good morning. Today I want to do a review of my Salsa Cutthroat. This is the year 2020 and the model is the Apex, so it's kind of the base edition. This is a 154 and it currently has about 1,000 miles on it. It's at 1,500 kilometers, so it's definitely been ridden. It's all been pretty tough riding between sort of single track trails, definitely lots of gravel, and a little bit of roads. So I've definitely beat it up a little bit. So I think that this should be a pretty good review because I'm not here staring at the bike brand new. I've actually given it a good ride before I'm telling you how good it is. This bike is totally stock, with the exception of the tires, which are Maxxis tubeless ready. They're 29ers. I think the front's a 2.3 and the rear's a 2.1. It comes with Terravales that I think are 2.2s, sort of a cross-country tread. And then I also have my own pedals on here, which are Crank Brothers Candy 2s. Right, so for the most part, I think you can probably look up the specs online to get an idea of the build set beside of the custom stuff that I told you about. So what I want to do is actually take this bike out on some trails that it's supposed to be good at. So I'm going to do a mix of gravel with some dicier cross-country trails mixed in, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's get on the bike and ride, see how it feels. And I feel totally good. I'm going pretty fast, something like 30 kilometers per hour on this wet grass. Nice and comfortable. Cool, so here we have a little bit of a paved path, and obviously the drop bars and rigid frame feel great for this. It is a 1x11. And so what will happen is that we'll eventually spin out. So I'm on a little bit of an uphill here, and I have no problem getting this into the highest gear and spinning out. But again, this isn't necessarily a road bike, so we're not meant to be going really fast. So here I am, 27 kilometers per hour. I could probably get up to about 32 kilometers per hour, and I think I'd be spun out. The one thing I would definitely advise is to have lower tire pressure with bigger tires if you're going to be mountain biking on it, probably at least like 2.4s or 2.5s, because when you don't have the suspension, you can actually take a little bit of the edge off of the small bumps with having a bigger tire with lower pressure. So definitely 100% do the tubeless setup. I feel like if you were riding this bike non-tubeless, it would almost be pointless, at least if you're taking it off-road. All right, a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow, no problem. We'll fall off the cliff. We're coming up to one of my favorite loops here in Prague. It's I call it the South Ridge Cyclable. It's like 5-6 kilometers, I don't know, somewhere in there, and a really fun trail. So single track like what we're doing here, mixed with a little bit of double track and some rocks thrown in between. It's gonna be muddy and snowy. This is gonna be an interesting ride. This is a really good test for this bike today. So I'd say that what we're on right now, is what this bike is made for. So gravel or dirt roads that are not well maintained. If I were to say this bike were good at one thing, it would be on maintained roads. That's its pride and joy to be on. It's great for climbs, little climbs like this. You can tell it's very responsive. You shoot right up them. No squishiness. All right, so coming up on a section that's a little bit dicier here. See if I can hit it without any brakes. There's almost a little jump in this too. Oh, all right. It is slippery. Yeah, not quite fast enough to jump. Mud in my mouth. All right. Yeah, I'd say if you have light mountain bike trails around you, this thing will take care of it, no problem. It's really when we get to drops and kind of log hops that drop bars aren't as fun to have. Okay, so this is like the kind of stuff where we need to get behind the seat a little bit, which is possible here, a little extended with the drop bars, but you can duck back behind it. I guess you could put a dropper post on this. That would make this stuff a little easier. Oh. Yeah, what's cool about this is this makes pretty light trails fun and challenging. I hope seeing the bike being ridden is helping you with your understanding of how the Salsa Cutthroat works out in the wild. Um, but I think now you hit the kind of the $3,000 question, whether or not you would buy it, or maybe you want to ask me whether or not I would buy it again. Personally, I would not. I think it's a little bit expensive for what it is, and I already have a 29er hardtail with some cross-country geometry. It's a specialized Epic. And I think it kind of like overlaps a little too much. Sometimes I actually feel faster on the Epic than I do on the Cutthroat, especially when you hit trails of any kind. And I can still go pretty fast on that hardtail on the road as well. I think this bike could make sense if you just want one really kind of nice bike that can do everything. I mean, it really it does fine on the road if you're not trying to really push the limits. It's a really great bike for the road. You can switch out the wheel sets very easily. And if you like to dip into a few single track trails, this is amazing. I mean, it does way better than a normal gravel bike with very thin tires. If you put wide tires on this bike, you can really handle some light cross country mountain bike trails. If you are a person who has two bikes, I would be careful what your second bike would be in addition to the Cutthroat. I would recommend it kind of be something aggressive on either the mountain side or the road side. Like I said, I already have a hardtail 29er with a cross-country geometry, so it kind of overlaps too much. But if you had sort of a bike with more suspension, full suspension, a trail-oriented or enduro bike, then the Cutthroat would complement that really well. And I think the same is true for the road biking side. So if you have a really aggressive geometry on a road bike, and you just dabble in mountain biking a little bit, then the Cutthroat might cover that as well as any bike packing or gravel riding you would do. Thanks for watching. I hope this was educational for you and you kind of enjoyed the review. This is my first time doing this. If you would like to see more about the Salsa Cutthroat, you can check out the Bohemia Divide 2020 video. That's a bike packing race I did across the Czech Republic, and I used the Cutthroat for that race. So there's a few more shots of it there, and you can also see what it can do once it's loaded up with packs, which is really what it's made for. All right, take care.